The first team missing the playoffs, but not according to the fans. The fans have them as seventh, but we have them as ninth, is Detroit City FC. We are predicting that they are going to miss the playoffs for the first time since joining the USL. John, who did they lose? Who did they gain?
Maxi Rodriguez, James Murphy, and Ryan Williams, the entire central midfield core, out. Elvis Mo is gone. The Laurent Kessiadou loan is ended. Brett Levice is gone. Yazid Matthews, a fan favorite, gone. A lot of losses. They've really brought in quite a few defensive replacements, whether you think about Shane Wheat, Maury Donor coming in as well. Haruki Yamazaki can kind of play all over, and he's an exciting one. I've included them in the graphic just because it's an open secret at this point, but Ates Diouf and Sebastian Guenzati seem like they're coming to Detroit as well. So kind of late breaking with the offensive ads, but exciting for Le Rouge.
Ryan, this is a team that we have fought a battle with of can they score? Well, for 2 years, no, they could not. But their defense was on par with Lily Ball, if not better. Now we have a team that looks like it can score goals, but who's going to get it to them? Are we being a little too reactionary on what they have done, or up to this point, lack of what they have done? Or is this kind of justified on where they are?
Yeah, I don't think we were being reactionary. You look at the players that had exited here in between Murphy, Rodriguez, Amot. That's a lot of their kind of starting 11 that we saw from this past season. And until I think we've seen them prove otherwise on the field, this is going to be a really just kind of wait and see prediction. And from everyone that I think is at least spot on for where they are right now, having them in a playoff game is kind of looking towards what this team's defense was from last season. You had only 32 goals conceded. If you compare it to Lilliput, who had 28 goals for Pittsburgh, I think it's going to be a really interesting Detroit team that you have to start the year. And if you're looking at some of their first four games, you get Colorado Springs, Birmingham Legion, and Louisville to open the year, and that's not the easiest showing.
John, there's a lot of places to go with this team. Like so many places you can talk about this team. Saldana is officially going to be taking over for Steinwasser. It was assumed they were splitting time last year, and it seemed like the writing was on the wall. But you kind of look over on the left, you see Villanueva, and you like that. You see Donor, you like that. And then your three center backs in Amamensa, Carol Bryant, put them up with any back two or three in the league, and you're going to love what you see. Why aren't we higher on this team?
I think it is the loss of Maxi and the way that has kind of reoriented this team. Like so much of what Detroit did kind of ran through his contributions, whether it was the creation in deep lying areas, his ability to score when he made those runs that got into the box. Like Maxi Rodriguez had 10 goals last season. That's a big deal for this club. And when you look at the replacements, like I'm a big fan of Yamazaki, but he's not really a creator. Jay Chapman can pull strings from deep, but I think he kind of struggled when he was asked to be a primary number 10 the last two seasons. So where does that leave you? Maybe Juve can be the guy, but he's a little bit more of a second striker. Like Guenzati isn't a creator as well. There are a lot of pieces in a vacuum, but it's going to take either precise passing, a little bit more of a direct style. Like somebody's going to have to step up, or Danny Dichio is going to need to innovate in a way where it just takes a little bit of trust. I happen to have it, and I think this is a solid playoff team, but it's very easy to envision the way where Detroit City kind of falls out of that mix.
Ryan, again, there's just so much with this team because, again, like John said, you see names on paper and you like it. You like what you see. Obviously, we know what Keyworth can be for them. Keyworth is a weapon for this team. That is something that they can use to their advantage. Is that going to be something that they are going to have to ride? Is that Keyworth wave? Or do you think this team is just going to be good enough overall?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at last season, like they only lost like a handful of games at Keyworth on the year. They've turned that place into a fortress. I mean, you looked at Detroit from the start of last year, they opened it with 5 consecutive wins and finished the year unbeaten with at least 6 games in a row, leading into the playoffs with their third spot. I know they lost to Tampa Bay in that playoff spot, but having that home field advantage is going to be incredibly massive for them. But one thing that I'm going to be looking at for Detroit City this year is I think their Jägermeister group is very tricky, just knowing where they are, just kind of isolated in their geographic region, but having to also have Pittsburgh in that group, having Rhode Island, having the upstarts in Westchester, or in Portland, Hearts of Pine, Hartford as well. I think that's going to be a very tough group to try and get out of, and you would worry that some of those Jägermeister games that they would have might seep into their league form.
I'm glad you brought up Jägermeister for this team as well, and I kind of meant to do it with Pittsburgh. That, and I've said it before, that Jägermeister group is going to feed families. I am so excited, and I should have mentioned this for Pittsburgh. I am going to retroactively put this clip into the Pittsburgh. July 25th, the USL show goes to Hearts of Pine versus Pittsburgh Riverhounds. So that is officially happening. Sorry, Detroit City. You didn't need to know about that. But I am really interested with this team. I think this is a real team that can really make a run in Jägermeister because, well, I say that I feel like, let me back up. This is a team that can make a run in the U.S. Open Cup, not the Jägermeister, because Jägermeister is all about scoring goals. Scoring the goals is the tiebreaker. Meanwhile, Open Cup is all about just defend, try to whittle something down, get a moment of magic.
But it's still single elimination soccer. Like, just don't tie.
Sure.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess Jägermeister, not the league stage. It's weird. It's all weird. I just find that this team, if there's going to be any team besides a pick Charleston, pick Louisville, pick Pittsburgh, whatever, this is a team I think can make a real U.S. Open Cup run because I see this back line and I love it. They are going to be so frustrating for anybody in the Open Cup in a single elimination to go against.
And I think what's going to benefit Detroit within that Open Cup run is you just look at the teams who, or at least the MLS sites that are, and there, a lot of the Midwest has decided, or at least they weren't placed in the Open Cup. I think you're going to see their nearest team for Detroit is going to be Chicago. Oh, I mean, Chicago wasn't anything to write home about from last season for MLS, so they could very well be getting a favorable draw against USL or other lower league opponents until a later round.
Are the Stars still around? Please tell me the Stars are still around. All right. Let's go ahead and move on unless anybody has anything else on Detroit City. Nope. All right. Oh, I didn't even read out their lineup. I'm so sorry. Where in the back you have Saldana in their 5-2-3. On the left is Villanueva, Amaminsa, Carroll, and Bryant to make up the center back pairings, and Donor on the right. Oh my gosh, Yamazaki. There we go. I got scared. Yamazaki and Chapman in the middle, Juff and Guenzati making up the left and the right, and Morris up top.